Well, welcome everybody to this evening to the StratiVentures Monday Night Industry Webinar. Today we have Pedro Alcedo. He's our National Sales Director with StratiVentures, and he's going to be talking about a really unique topic about monetizing high cost to value transactions. When he'll give you a little bit more insight, but I think for those of you now that are in the real estate investing world and have noticed that there are so many deals out there that don't make sense because they're high cost of value. Basically, people want too much money for them, and we have found a way for you guys to become a affiliate or a partner of SVI in order to make you guys some money out there. So with that, let me go ahead and continue here, and then we'll get right to you, Pedro. So welcome this evening, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. We're right now going in through the welcome, and we're going to go into the topic information, and then we're going to open that up for some questions and answers. Hopefully a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions and answers for you, Pedro. So questions, you can answer them. For those of you that are joining us via Zoom, remember that put all of your questions in the Q&A section. That's all your questions in the Q&A. The chat, go ahead and send any messages that are not questions to your moderator, which is Enid, and she'll be happy to help you with those technical answers. And if it's something you guys weren't expecting or wanted to, if we bore you to death, just go ahead and leave the webinar, and as usual, we'll see you again, hopefully the next time around, because we do these every 2 weeks. And we encourage questions. This is put on for you, so make sure you guys have your questions. A little bit about myself for those that don't know me, and I did see down the list there's a lot of people that are joining us. I was born in Colombia, South America. At the age of 4, came to the US. I live here in Houston with my wife and my son, Aiden. And prior was a mortgage broker and asset manager, and I became a real estate investor in May of 2012 and learned a lot of things, found out that this business needs a lot of help. And in that way, 2014, we created the platform for StratiVentures. And now we're in over 24 states, over 1,800 members nationally. And we are continually growing our company based off the affiliations that we have with a lot of national partners. I think we're doing something right, Pedro.
Yep, seems like it.
Yep, and our motto at StratiVentures, it's a win-win or we don't do it. And so the company is a full-service real estate investing company that encompasses acquisition analysis, real estate services, project management services, and funding. For those of you that want to know a little bit more, feel free to go ahead and scan that QR code. It's in all the slides, and you'll get to know a little bit more about us. Excuse me. We have our super team here, guys, for you to get to know us. Feel free to reach out to any of us, myself, Enid, Oriana, Maria, Stacy, Tila, Dan, Carlos, Stephanie, Ron, Eric, and last but not least, the man of the hour, Pedro Alcedo, who's going to talk to us about that amazing topic this evening. But we like to make sure that people understand, first and foremost, where we're coming from. And that is the mindset of an investor. Because Pedro, right, everything we cultivate or the people we cultivate at SVI is based on an investor mindset. So we make sure that everybody understands that an investor analyzes, acts, invests, and makes profit with one word in mind, and that word is risk. So that's where SVI comes in. SVI comes in to mitigate that risk and help people really be that true investor so they can really gain forward progress in this business. And lastly here, for those of you that want to get to know us a little bit better on the one-on-ones, we're always happy to sit down with y'all. In any of these topics, feel free to go to investorrealestatetraining.com, and you'll be able to fill out the web form. Enid will go ahead and get your information, contact you, and let's sit down and have a chat about everything that we do. Now, a little bit about our guest speaker here, which is Pedro. Pedro, you were born in Mérida, Venezuela, and your wife, Oriana, happens to be our social media director too, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. You attended the Universidad Católica de Táchira, and you got a degree in business administration. A little bit of your background comes in the stock market and trading that you did for Quadra and Degwitz in Caracas, which is in Venezuela, before you moved to the United States.
Yes,
and
sir.
The funny thing is you went from the stock market to the cattleman ranch, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
it's a long story, but yeah, the situation in my country forced me to go from one market to the other one. So
Well, and every time, I mean, you're obviously here and you work at the office, is you really miss the cattleman side of it, not the financial side.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Because the cattle side was my own business.
Yeah.
When I was working in the stock market, I was working for somebody else. So
Yeah. And the cows didn't talk back to you, right?
no, and they work for me actually too. So that
Good.
was
And
that
they're
was good.
tasty. In so 2017, you moved to Houston. You had your girlfriend at the time, which is Oriana, and now you
Yeah,
guys are married.
yeah,
And you began investing in March of 2018, and you actually joined SBI as a member back in 2018. And
yeah,
then in 19, you started working with us at SBI as a business development agent.
yeah.
And now, oops, I apologize, guys, that's a 2021. You became our national sales director.
Yeah, I also was teaching some classes when we had all the offices open in San Antonio and Dallas. So
Perfect, perfect. So with that said, I want to go ahead and cut you loose here on your presentation. And everybody who's listening, this is being recorded, so you can also follow us on any of the social media platforms. And then we'll have Pedro begin his presentation here right now. Pedro, if you want to go ahead and get that ball rolling on your share.
yeah, I cannot share my screen yet until you finish yours.
Okay.
All right.
There you go.
All right. Hello, guys. How are you? Well, Diego already did the introduction for me. You already know who I am. I've been working with Diego and SBI for the past 3 years. It's going to be 4 years in a few months.
Pedro, sorry to interrupt. Do you want to hit the slide?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go, buddy.
About to hit it. And basically we put together this webinar today because as real estate investors ourselves, we understand that sometimes it's really hard to find good deals out there, right? Every time we are looking for deals, especially when we're working with wholesalers or we're working with realtors, we get some leads or some opportunities. Let's not call it deals yet, because a deal is when we actually go through and put under contract and actually buy the property. But we get some leads that they're just too expensive for us, especially for the investors that we need to have a hard money lender as a part of our deal, paying interest. So we need to get our deal or we need to buy that deal at a certain percentage cost to value in order for the deal to work out. And what we're seeing right now in the market, and probably this happened to all of us that are here in this webinar tonight, that are actually active investing in real estate, is that most of the deals that you're getting out there are not at 70%, 75%, which is the ideal cost to value percentage that we need to get them, right? We're seeing deals that are anything from 80 to 90%. Some deals are even higher than that. So right now, we've been working in a model, which is the model that we're going to be talking about tonight, which is the co-housing model that allows to buy those deals so you can monetize some money, can keep bringing some marketing money, at least some marketing money, if not a much bigger profit for those deals that just wouldn't make a fit as a regular flip when we're looking for deals out there. So what is co-housing and what is the best avenue, right? Co-housing are pretty much living spaces that are fully furnished by the host, by the investor in this case, with utilities cover everything under one bill, right? So pretty much our houses that we're putting together where we can have people, low income people, sharing the house, renting the house by the room. City to city population displacement is growing faster and faster. We see this in every city, especially in the big cities, cities like Houston, the city where we are. The moment you start developing an area, all the people in that area, taxes start increasing. So these people cannot afford their taxes, their property taxes anymore. They cannot afford their houses, so they are forced to move out. So with this co-housing model, we are helping those people to stay and be able to afford a nice place to live in these areas in the city without forcing them to live very far away. The United States is currently in the middle of an affordable housing crisis. We're seeing prices of houses, prices on rent, just going up and up and up and up, and all these people that they don't have a very high income, they're struggling to find some place to live. The most economically insecure are at risk of becoming homeless. That means these people that, you know, they're working day to day, on the day-to-day basis. If for some reason they get sick, they cannot go to work for a week or something, then those people, if they stop paying rent or paying their taxes or other payments that they need to make, they can lose their place. Low income renters are faced with sky high housing costs and no income. We're seeing this especially since last year and this year, how rents and prices have increased substantially. 1/5 of the population spend over half of their income on rent, and lack of inventory makes conversion the right path for passive investors. So saying this, there are certain rules or certain indicators that we need to follow, because even though these are leads or deals that maybe are not going to work for us for a regular flip or a fix and flip, doesn't mean that every deal is going to be a deal that can work for this. So I'm going to explain here a little bit some market indicators that we need to look at, and also neighborhood profiles, the kind of areas in neighborhood that we're looking in order for this to work. Okay. So the first thing that we look when we're looking for a co-housing property, a co-housing house, is on the market indicators. We see the marital status, and we want to see in that area, for those who are familiar, this is a realist report that is giving us some data from the MLS on this zip code, right? This is actually one of our properties where we're doing a co-housing house, and we want to see more single people in that area. Why more single people? Well, because we're going to be renting the houses by room, and each room is only rented by one person. No couples are allowed, no children are allowed, no pets are allowed. So we want to see areas where we have the majority of people in that area that are single, divorced, separated, in a higher rate than the married people. The second market indicator that we want to see, of course, we want to see a rental area, right? We want to see areas where majority of the people are renting instead of ownership. Even though ownership, I kind of like it to be in a high percentage rate, because ownership is what gives us value and appreciation in our properties. Every time somebody buys a house, that says a new value. So it's not bad if we get a higher rate, but definitely we want to see the majority of people renting in that area. The other indicator we want to see is the average household income. So we want to see areas where our income is between $25,000 and $35,000 a year. So this area is in between our range. Why we want to see this kind of income in those areas? Well, because this is affordable housing. If we have people in that area that are making more money, 40, 50 or more a year, then those people can probably afford to pay a rent for a full house or a full one-bedroom apartment at least. So this these people are not going to be looking to rent a room where they have to share kitchens. Sometimes they have to share bathrooms. So people that are at least working, that we can verify that they have some income, we can verify and do a background check, but they are not making enough money to afford one house or one apartment on their own. And the school district, in this case, usually in these areas where we're looking for these type of properties, are areas that we're going to see that the school district is bad. It's not very good. But on the same side, those are areas that are being developed. So it should be improving with time. You know, right now we don't really care about the school, because as I told you before, no children are going to be living in these houses, but the school give us an indicator for a possible exit strategy that we want to have. So we still check it out on our data.
So basically what you're stating here, Pedro, is areas that would not make a good flip because of the desirability, that property that's already existing is still possibly a good opportunity for the co-housing model.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Especially those areas. I mean, when I started investing in real estate and I was looking for flips, these are areas where I wouldn't go nearby. No, I wouldn't touch a property in these areas, because maybe a fix and flip can be kind of risky going in this area, because you're doing a retail sale and this can complicate stuff. You know, not every
Variables, all that.
Yeah. But for co-housing, for renting people, affordable housing is exactly the same, the perfect kind of areas that we're looking for. For those who are familiar to Houston, we are not looking properties in Post Oak or San Felipe or Kirby. We're looking properties in areas that are low income, but we still want to see that development is happening, right? Because there's still we still need comps, we still are doing financing. So our lenders wants to see comps and value in these properties. Other market indicators that we want to see and that we look for, well, no flood areas, same as usual. We always try to stay away from flooding areas and flooded zones to get our flips. Same for this. This is still an investment, and a flood area is going to be, especially here in Houston, can be tricky. One of the most important things that we want to see in the area, in the property, is non-restricted and no HOAs. Okay, and this is probably the first thing I look for when I'm looking for a property. If it has an HOA in that area and has restrictions, that's a no right away from the beginning, because an HOA is probably not going to allow you to, or it's not going to allow us to have a house where we're renting, or we're having 6 or 7 different tenants in that house with 6 or different cars coming and going. It's going to be a problem. So definitely the no restrictions and no HOAs is a must, and one of the most important key points that we need to look from the beginning. And also there are other stuff about the property itself. Like, for example, we don't want to get into townhouses. We don't want to get into condos. The other day we were looking at a property that were made out of containers, shipment containers, and we didn't have any comps around for that kind of material, that kind of construction. So it was going to be hard to do an appraiser on that property without actually spending money and sending the appraiser to a property. So we want to stick to the regular single family home. Doesn't matter if it is brick, doesn't matter if it is siding, if it is a slab foundation or pier and beam, as long as we have comps, probably can work. The other thing that we also need to look at are, as I was telling you, comps. We need to have comparable data in the area. If we're looking to build a new house, then I want to have new construction comps. If we're looking to renovate 1980 house that was built in 1980, for that property, and other properties built in the same time, you know, that they are the same old.
And,
Other
and
thing, sure.
sorry to interrupt there on what you were talking about on the comparables. Is with that market study that you made, where we look for, you know, more single bad schools, knowing the fact that there might not be comps. What we're trying to say is that since the renovation that's going in there is not for a full high retail ARV value, there's still going to be comps, but not what we're talking about, or, you know, the higher priced comps that you need as if you would need a flip.
Yeah, no, definitely. If we're looking for a flip, then definitely we want to see high-end properties, right? Pretty nice property, pretty nice looking properties. Here in these areas, what we're finding in comps is mostly is for rental grade rehab properties. And that's exactly what we're looking and what we're doing, because that's what we want to do. So those are the kind of comps that we want to see. But when I talk about comps, I mostly refer to having activity and having movement in the area. Some areas, we've been looking in some areas that maybe the area will be work just fine for affordable housing and co-housing. But when we are looking for data and comps, because we're still going to have a refinance, we're still going to have a lending, a long-term lending, so we can hold the property. There's nothing where we can get or a value for this property. So that makes us get out of the area. So we want to see some activity in the area. The other thing we're looking for is ARVs. As I told you, if you're familiar to Houston, we're not looking anything in Post-Oak. That means we're not looking anything expensive. This is affordable housing. This is not high luxury housing, right? So we're trying to stay within a range on the ARV between 220 and 280,000. That's a range. If we can get 240, 250, that's the threshold where we want to be in. We're looking to buy big houses, houses that are 800, 1,000 square feet are probably going to be too small. At least we can buy it at a right price where we can just come and add the new square footage, but that's going to increase the rehab. So the price that we can offer for that property is going to be much lower, right? And the purpose of this and the purpose of this webinar is give you guys the opportunity to be able to offer a higher price and increase your chances on getting a property, because they're asking too high for a flip. So being a bigger house, at least we want to see 1,700 square feet with 3 rooms and 2 baths. This is probably the minimum, so we can get in, add the new rooms, add the new bathrooms, and do the less amount of work that we need to do to convert it for a co-housing, and spend the less amount of money, so we can actually pay more or offer more money for that property and actually get the deal done. And the lot, we want to see at least 5,000 square feet, just in case we need to add some parking spaces, or in case we need to add the square footage to the house. We need to have a lot that allow us to do it. So I'm gonna show you here a few examples of actual properties that were converted to co-housing. So you can see, or you can start getting a better idea when you're walking a house and you are already realizing that it's just gonna be, the price is too much for your regular flip. How we can turn this into a co-housing. So this is a house that originally was 4 rooms with 2, 3, 4 bathrooms, right? So pretty much each room here is going to have a private bathroom, and then we can just add another 2 rooms right here, where they are going to be sharing one of the bathrooms with another of the rooms. Probably we can manage to have 4 rooms per bathroom in one house. And then all of them will be sharing the kitchen. As you can see here, nothing luxury, not any HGTV rehab, right? Just a regular rehab, really simple. Doesn't mean that because it's going to be cheap, it's going to look bad, because the whole purpose of this is also helping those people that are going to be living in these houses, that they can have somewhere nice to live, because you can find somewhere to live for $600, but probably it's not the best place to live.
Yeah.
This is another example where they just took the living room or entering the house and turn it into a room. Most likely, if they don't have a closet, like for example this one doesn't have a closet, then we put a dresser, uh, a ceiling fan, and it's going to be good to go for a room. Thus, also here in this plan, you can see that it's a two-story house. Doesn't matter if it is one single story or two-story house, as long as we have the floor plan and the room to add the rooms and the bathroom that we needed, is going to work for us. Okay, here we're seeing 6-7 rooms. We like to see minimum 7, and again, the ideal scenario for us is if we can put at least 8 rooms in each house, having at least 2 of those rooms with a private bathroom. Doesn't matter that the other 6 are sharing bathrooms. Here you have another example how we made the living room into two new rooms, and now we have a chimney there that kind of give some style to the rooms. But this, at least this gives you an idea on when you're walking a house, okay, we can do a room here, or we can get some extra, how many extra rooms in this place. So knowing and already give you an idea on if it's going to work or not for our purposes. Another example here, the master bedroom. And this, they just close the master bedroom on the wall and this little hole. So because they don't have too many bathrooms in this house, so they have to open up the bathroom so they can share four of the rooms can share one bathroom, and the other 3 can share the other bathroom. So these are some examples of the plans and how you can start kind of getting outside the box and start thinking, okay, we can turn this house into something like this. So now we're going to take a look at our analyzer, okay, so you can understand a little bit better the numbers and how you can actually make a deal or on something that as a regular flip is not going to work, right? So I pre-populated our deal sheet here, or deal analyzer here. We have an ARV of 250, right? Average on the range that we were looking to buy. We have some expenses that, of course, we need to take in consideration when we're buying a property. In this case, a price or inspection. We usually do an inspection on every house, or so we make sure that everything that needs to be fixed is fixed. Also, the development, property management that we might spend while we're doing this project, taxes, the square footage of the property, closing costs, and assuming that we have an ARV of $250,000 with a rehab of $50,000, plus all the expenses that we have usually on a house. If you wouldn't get to, if you wanted to buy this house for a flip, your may or your maximum allowable offer will be 111,000. Okay. If you wanted to get this as a rental property, then your mayor will be 136,000. And if you think like this is, let's say they're asking 150 for the property, and you know 150 is going to be too much for you, even though if you're planning on doing a rental lease, we can come up to 85% cost to value for these type of deals, meaning that with these hypothetical numbers, we can come up to an offer of 148, 149,000, getting so much closer to the asking price, and actually be able to close the deal and make some money, right? Because as Diego told you from the beginning, or motto is a win-win for everybody involved in the deal, or we don't do it. So if you're bringing this deal to us, we're going to make the way that you and us and everybody is gonna be or gonna find benefits from the deal.
Okay, so what you're basically saying, Pedro, is having the data that you're seeing there, and thank you to everybody that's putting in some questions. We really appreciate that. You're going to have a validated appraised value of $250,000 per comp, and then you're going to have a repair budget that's validated of, let's say, 50,000. And if you wanted to turn this into a flip, your average flip states that you shouldn't pay more than $111,000, because you're also considering the appraisal, the inspection, the taxes, and the closing cost. Am I correct to say that?
Yes, and also, I mean, for most people, we pay interest too. We use hard money lenders or private money lenders that are going to be charging some interest. So if you pay more than 70%, 75%, then you're putting yourself at risk. And most likely, a hard money lender is not going to lend you money on a deal that is cost to value is over 70%.
Exactly.
You bring money to the table.
Exactly. And so right now, in the way the market is, there are so many people that are acting in the form of wholesalers or realtors that they're presenting already from the beginning an 80% deal stating that this is a good flip. And their numbers may be skewed. So guys, if you're already looking at this already as a flip and they're bringing you already that type of cost of value of 80%, it's probably going to get worse. And so why obviously make the offer for a flip, but there's a high percentage that they're going to say no, right? So why not be able to counter? And what Pedro's doing is giving you guys the ranges that you guys have when it comes to monetizing this opportunity.
Yeah, because here we have over almost $40,000 difference on what you can pay for a flip or what we can pay for a co-housing deal. So knowing that you have a room of almost $40,000 to make your offer, that definitely increase your chances on getting that offer accepted.
It's called buying power. That's having buying power.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, awesome. If your third offer comes at 111 and they say no, but you know that you can pay as much as 140, let's say 150, let's call it even at 150. Probably if the deal is good, if the house is in good condition and everything we're fine, it's going to be a little bit over 80, it's probably going to be closer to 86% or so, but it's still at 85%. Mm-hmm. So that gives you, as Diego was mentioning, buying power, because now you have $40,000 difference that we can pay extra for.
Okay, so let me put myself into the shoes of some of our listeners and people that are watching. I get from my marketing avenues or any campaigns, I get a direct seller, and that direct seller is now getting offers from wholesalers that are putting 70, 75, 80% offers to them that obviously nobody's going to buy. But if I'm now myself working directly with that seller, I can make a higher offer and beat the rest of the competition, and then put it under contract, and then obviously we're going to give the contact information on how they can present those opportunities to you. And then we basically take those properties off your hands, guys. So that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, exactly. And also it's the part where, I mean, how much is going to make the person that is bringing the deal. Probably some people are going to be asking about it. And that depends on the way you bring the deal to us. right? Because one way and one different way is to, you're working with the seller, as you just said, right? You're putting the house, you're working with the seller from from A to Z. You're putting, you're doing the, you're validating your comms, you're validating the rehab, you're putting the house under contract, and you're doing all the work. And now you can just come and assign that contract to us, and now you know, okay, this is the most that we can pay. So how much money will you make? Well, if you know that I can pay 150 and you can negotiate with the seller 130, 140, that different in price, that price range, right? That difference, that's all to you. I mean, I don't care how much you make, as long as we get the price where we are going to be safe.
Yeah. And
Now,
wouldn't you agree, Pedro? And guys, those of you that are listening, the opportunities, even though you might have a seller on the hook, that's the prime one to come and talk to us, because then we start working the numbers and you're going to know the parameters. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. Now there are other ways, other people like, hey, I mean, for this deal, I don't want to put any time in it. I don't want to write any contracts. I don't want to go there with a contractor to have an estimate, or myself walking a house. For those who are experienced and can walk a house and have an estimate on how much the repairs are going to be. Remember, rental repairs, right? We're not doing a fancy thing here. And you just refer that seller to us, like, hey, Pedro, here's the property, here's the address, this is what they want. Just take it on, and let's see how we can work it. Then we can work a referral fee or a burden fee that we can negotiate later on with each one with for each deal, but it's not going to be like a wholesale fee that you're doing the work, but you can still at least make some money on something that you were going to lose, and get some money for more marketing or other business expenses or other stuff that you needed to do. I'm going to go real quick on how these numbers work for those who are interested in knowing, like, okay, so what the numbers look like, because some of you might be interested in, well, maybe I can do this myself, right? And get these kind of properties, which we can help you with too. And you can get in contact with us later to know exactly how we can help you. But this is how everything will look, right? So the full acquisition, and this is the full asking price, 150 plus closing plus taxes plus development, is going to be 164. If you get a Harmony loan for this, right now we're seeing, and this is different for everybody, but right now we're seeing for us about 9% interest rate with 2 points in 3 months. This all of these houses usually is a light rental rehab. So we should be in and out in 3-4 months tops. So this is your cost of money. The rehab, well, usually the rehab we're doing with our own money or private money, because we're already financing here. So that means with the full payoff of the house, including the purchase, plus the rehab, plus the cost of money, now you're talking about a full $120,000. That if the ARV is 250, your total cost to value goes up to 88%. That's why we want to stay in the 85% range. So at the end, with everything, cost of money and everything, we don't go over 90. So you have here your ARV 250, your total payoff, including the cost of money, is 220. If now you're gonna get a lender that comes and give you 75% in a long-term loan, right? Meaning that you need to bring 15%. So that means that your down payment, and this is when you're already for the investor that is already getting the house in the long term and actually renting the house. So we're putting $33,000. The loan is going to be 187. After closing, your total money invested in this property is going to be 38, almost 39,000, right? If this is your loan amount, your PI at 4.9%, which is what we're seeing on commercial loans. We're not talking about here Freddie Mae or Fannie Mae or FHM or nothing like that at 3 or less than 3%. This is commercial loans at 4.9. Your PI 994. Your mortgage is going to be for 360 months, that's 30 years. Your annual property taxes will be this. That means that your monthly taxes are 417. Monthly utilities, remember we talked about in the beginning, all the utilities are included are paid by the host. We're seeing average on the houses that are already active in the market that we are spending about $500 per month on utilities. Annual insurance, anything between $1,200 and $1,500 per month. So that will make your PITI $2,000. So if we're making a 7 rooms, let's say 2 of the rooms, well, I have these numbers backward here. 5 of the rooms has a private bathroom, and then 2 of the rooms are sharing bathrooms. This is when you're renting a house here in Texas.
Flip it around. Go ahead and flip the numbers around down at the bottom. No, at the bottom.
Where, here?
In the yellow spot.
Oh, here. With private 150 and sharing 130, right? So why can we pay more for these houses? Because now we are collecting a gross rent per month of $3,800. When usually some house like this in these areas, how much can you be collecting per month if you rent it to a single family home? 1,500, 1,800 probably. This house that I show you on the example, Broad Street, rents in the area are like $1,900 a month. But here is more, it's almost double. It's actually double the rent that you're collecting. And also when you're renting the one house to one family, one person, if that person leave, you lose 100% of your income. Now it's up to you to pay your PITI. Here, one leave, you still have 6, and you can find for the other one. There is some charges, some fees on the platform that handles the people, handles the tenant, collect the rents. That's 12% of the gross. So you're netting $3,300 a month. So your debt service cover ratio go from 125, which is the ideal what a bank wants to see on a rental house, goes up to 165. So if your net per month is 3,300, your annual will be 40,000. Your annual PITI here will be 24,000. So your gross cash flow after you take 24 out of 40 is 15,000. We're talking about around $200 per month on maintenance. We have already a property management company that goes to the property twice a month to cut the grass, clean the common areas, preventive maintenance on AC, on water heater, appliances, and all this stuff, and making sure that everything is working fine in the house. So that's $2,400 a year. That will make your annual cash flow $13,400. If you divide this by 12, that's $1,117 per month. If your total out of pocket, your total investment is $38,000 and you're getting $13,000 per year, the ROI goes up to 35% when your average ROI in Texas, I'm talking about Texas, for a rental property is anywhere between 8 to 10, 11%. So that's why we're looking for these type of deals, plus help you as investor, help us as investor getting more deals because we can pay more, and also we can help people that needs this kind of housing because they're only paying $150 or $130 per week, and that's including utilities. So now all they need to worry about is get their money, go to work, get their money to pay the rent and get their food because utilities and everything are covered.
All right. And so we've got some questions here.
Sure.
Pedro, let's see if we want to go ahead. And guys, the numbers that you see in that analyzer, when you reach out to Pedro, he'll be more than happy to go over that with you, just so you can fully understand why is it that you guys can be presenting those higher cost of value loans in order to make sure that somebody's taking an advantage of buying that. Because there are passive investors around the country that have reached out to SVI and said, we need this type of property and we're supplying that and we want to help you guys monetize that. So this is a team effort. Let's see here for Pedro. Let's see, how would you deal with lenders? Do they need to know your co-housing?
No, they don't need to know the co-house. When, let's say, for those who own a property and you have a mortgage on your property and you want to convert your garage into a room or two rooms because now you're getting your in-laws to live with you, you don't have to go and ask permission to Bank of America to do that, right? You need to ask permission to the city because now you're changing the livable square footage on the house. Probably you're going to be adding new plumbing and new stuff, and you need to have everything under permitting and inspected. So you need the permit from the house, but you definitely don't need your lender to find out or approve you for that.
Okay, great. The other question, how does a private investor compete with an army of real estate agents that scoop up the best flip deals for themselves or their preferred clients before the properties even get listed public?
Well, there are multiple ways that you can start working to overcome that scenario. It's not easy, but well, the first one is relationship, right? Then you want to get relationship with those realtors that are getting those deals to their clients first. You want to be one of those clients. The other one is you can start marketing yourself. You don't depend your business on another person, a wholesaler or a realtor. You can start mailing, you can start cold calling, you can start driving for dollars, you can start doing the work that they do in order to get the deals, right? And here in SBI, we can help you with that too. If you want to set up a marketing campaign, because right now you rely on realtors and wholesalers exclusively, then here in SBI, we have a program, we have a help, we have a team where we can show you how we do it, so you can start doing it that way too, and get in front of the seller before an agent and before a wholesaler. Because when you get in front of a seller, and this happened to me before, when I talk to a seller that is also talking to a wholesaler or an agent, guy, we're actually the end of buyer. So there's no competition for that wholesaler or that realtor with us, with the end of buyer, because we can pay more. And we're not going to be charging a commission if we are a realtor, right? So that seller will need to pay 6% commission. Sometimes they will even need to pay closing costs. That's another couple of $1,000 right there that we can offer to cover. And actually, the way we do our numbers, we always cover closing. And a wholesalers nowadays, they want to make more money than the guy that does the rehab and does the more of the bigger amount of work. So they are wholesaling deals and they want to make 30, 40, $50,000 profit, and after you flip it, you're only making 20. So if you get in front of a seller competing with these wholesalers, trust me, it's easy to get the deal from them. So, but you need to get in front of the seller.
Correct. Let's see here. Thanks, Pedro. Dale Myers asked, Pedro and Diego, what is the rule of thumb when understanding how much cash on cash return will be with renting them in the co-housing model? The 1% rule, and does the room conversion need to be permitted by the city? I love it. Thank you kindly. Thanks, Dale.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, the room conversion, we rather to be permitted by the city. Inspector permitting, everything goes under permitting, under city codes, everything the right way, right? So if we as investor at the end, we have an emergency, we need to sell the house or fast or something, then then we can probably get a better price and sell it as an off-market property because it's not permitted. Now the rule of thumbs as the 1%, not necessarily have to be the 1%. This is completely different. We're seeing that we can double or triple the rents in some areas. It's going to depend also the house, how much repairs are we going to be doing, and the price that we get it for. But if you, I mean, if you want to have an idea, then probably the 1% rule times 2 or 3. That's what we're seeing in most of the deals that we're looking at.
Right. And one more thing there, Dale, to tell you is at the end, the bottom line is what is your money doing for you? And it's completely different. We've worked with investors that 8% annual, great, because their money was making 4. And then we have other people that were making 8% and now 32% is not enough for them. 21% is not enough for them. So this might not be for everybody, but at the end of the day, the numbers do work based on the scenarios that Pedro's putting in play for you, in which you can monetize that property, supply it to us. We can be the back end purchaser and buyer to that. And then at the end of the day, you're monetizing that because it would have never been either a good single family, 1-person rental to you, or it absolutely wasn't going to be a good flip.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's see here. Ms. Kathy asked this question. This is a very good question. Isn't there a real high risk? Isn't there real high risk in this model? Because tenants may not be able to pay. What different ways can you collect rents?
Yes, we're working with a platform that takes care of that side and mitigate the risk. SBI is all about mitigating risk, right? So before we even thought about getting into this model, we made sure that all the pieces work together where we can mitigate this risk dealing with tenants. I know at the beginning we were kind of worried about it, like if it's hard to deal with one tenant, then how hard it's going to be to deal with 7 tenants under the same room, you know, sharing fridge, sharing the kitchen, some of them sharing bathroom, women with men. It can be some kind of disaster, but with the platform and with the people that we're working, the property management company and all the team that we have together to do this, everything starts from the background check and the research that we do on a person. This is co-housing, right? This is affordable housing. That means that we want to help people get into a nice place to live, but these people, they still need to have a job. They still need to have a paycheck, which we're going to check. No felonies or this kind of stuff. So we make sure that when somebody gets into a house, they're collecting a paycheck weekly or every 2 weeks or monthly, so they are able to pay their rent. So that's one of the ways that we can mitigate the risk. And what we're seeing is, I mean, out of the properties that are already out there listed and active in the market with people living in it, this is actually not a huge problem.
Right. So let's see, Dale asked, do you appraise before or after the room conversions?
Before, because the lender will need the appraiser and the lender will need the house inspected. So this is a new product. This is a new thing right now. And when a lender comes and knows that instead of a living room and a dining room and a home office or a game room, now we have 8 rooms in the house. I mean, they're not gonna lend you the money. So we want to do the rehab if we or all the repairs that we need to do in the house, then get it appraised and get your loan in place. And after we already have the money and we already have everything, then the way we do the rehab or the construction is we leave everything ready for when that happens. The conversion should be easy, you know, 1 week, 2 weeks tops, and it will be ready to rent. But we want to do it before the conversion not because of city or anything, but it's mostly because of the lender.
Right. And Dale, mind you that the conversions that are being done are going to be minimal and not mostly impacting like structural walls. We're just adding doors. It's like insulating some loud areas. So it's really minimal to that level, which is a great question. AG here asked, what about furniture, bedding, sheets, laundry, and who's responsible?
You're responsible. I mean, us as the host is responsible to furnish the house. There are some minimum requirements that we have for a house on the furniture that they need. Like for example, if one of the rooms, they don't have the room, for example, we convert a living room into a room. Most likely that living room wouldn't have a closet. So we need to put a bed, a nightstand, and a dresser in order to accommodate a person and make them be comfortable in that room. Sheets and all, I mean, it's fully furnished. Of course, there is going to be laundry room in the house. Each person is going to be responsible to, I mean, you're putting the sheets and everything in there. So they're going to be responsible of doing the laundry for their own sheets.
Right, but the host is not responsible for providing them.
On sheets on everything?
No,
that depends. That depends on you actually, but it's not mandatory. The bed and the nightstand and the dresser it is. Sheets, if you want to do it, you can, but you don't have to.
Right.
Now,
for example, more than likely is because of the sheets being personal items, it's something that is not recommended to be provided into that. Let's see here. Thanks for that question. Hey, Pedro. So if the property is already designated as commercial, does that make it easier for you or the investor?
So far, the properties that we have been looking are single family homes because for the lending and everything are single family homes. A commercial property usually is gonna be more expensive than a residential one. So it's gonna depend on the price ranges, the ARV, and everything that we need to do, because if it's already a commercial and it's too expensive, meaning a commercial that probably is I don't know, 4 units or because here in Texas they need to be 4 units, but they need to have each one have to have their meters and everything independent in order to be considered commercial. Then probably you just keep it as commercial if the price is too high, because the main thing there is the price range. We don't want to go over a certain price, which is 280 on the ARV, because then it's not affordable anymore. And then the numbers are not going to work the same way. And it's better just to rent it the regular way. Perfect.
Roxanne Myers asked, I took a class on special needs housing and they stated that it was forbidden to rent rooms that are individually locked. Roxanne, this living model is not for special needs or any type of assisted living, substance abuse, or memory care. So what that's going to do is that it does open it up to people that are able to have a job, all of those things. And it's a good question there. And Franco Montano asked, have you had any difficulties getting permits when adding more rooms?
No.
Nope, not at all. Obviously, Franco, if you'll have problems if you don't report them, right? So that's why the whole point of it is doing. And Ralph Dyson asked, what are we looking at for furniture package for a 7-bedroom?
Ideally, a queen bed can be a twin, but ideally a queen bed, a nightstand, and a dresser, and a ceiling fan for each room. Okay, because the AC is going to be set up at a state temperature. They're not going to be able to. It's going to be locked, and they're not going to be able to put it up and down. So as we say here in SBI, if they get hot or if they get cold, put on a sweater, and if they get hot, take the sweater out, right? But they have a ceiling fan, so those are the minimum requirements per room.
Okay. Well, Pedro, thank you so much for that information. We're going to go ahead and share here. Give me 1 second here, the final part. Hope everybody enjoyed the information that was given. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Pedro. And here's his email and his full contact information for you guys to reach out, and we'll be more than happy to answer all of those questions for you. With that also said, we want to thank all of our SVI industry partners. And remember, you can scan all the information right here to get everything about StratiVentures. And if you wanted to know more about us in our platform, go to investorrealestatetraining.com or email us at info@strativentures.com. If you want to directly have a conversation, feel free to give me a ring. And remember, this is being recorded, so make sure to like and subscribe, guys, to all of these social media platforms. Enid has been putting Pedro's contact information in the chat if you wanted to reach out to him. But if you can, go ahead and like us, subscribe. But I'm going to go ahead and keep Pedro's information here up in order for you guys to reach out to him if you have any questions. So Pedro, do you have any closing comments or anything that you wanted to share with us before we go ahead and tell all these nice people good night?
Yeah, so no, pretty much if you have any potential leads that you want to look at, then obviously every deal is different, and we can give them an individual look to each one of them. Maybe at the beginning it's kind of hard to get and understand, but once you start practicing and you start knowing and getting numbers done, gets easier. And yeah, this is a great way that we thought that we can share with all of you, members and not members, because it can benefit everybody. You know, it can help us everybody getting more deals closed. So that's the whole idea and the whole point. Help each other, help the people, help the seller, the tenant, and help us too and make some money after that.
Okay. Well, everybody that's joining us this evening, I want to again thank you so much for joining us, and have a great evening. And we will see you guys in the next 2 weeks. Go to investorrealestatetraining.com. There are our next future up and coming events, and get to know a little bit more about us. Pedro, thank you so much for your time this evening, buddy.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you,
everybody for attending.
Thank you, everybody.